Chapter 6. Special Provisions for Persons with Benchmark Disabilities. Free education for children with benchmark disabilities. Notwithstanding anything contained in the Rights of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009, every child with benchmark disability between the age of 6 to 18 years shall have the right to free education in a neighborhood school or in a special school of his choice. The appropriate government and local authorities shall ensure that every child with benchmark disability has access to free education in an appropriate environment till he attains the age of 18 years. 32. Reservation in higher educational institutions. All government institutions of higher education and other higher education institutions receiving aid from the government shall reserve not less than 5% seats for persons with benchmark disabilities. The persons with benchmark disabilities shall be given an upper age relaxation of 5 years for admission in institutions of higher education. 33. Identification of posts for reservation. The appropriate government shall identify posts in the establishments which can be held by a respective category of persons with benchmark disabilities in respect of the vacancies reserved in accordance with the provisions of Section 34. Constitute an expert committee with representation of persons with benchmark disabilities for identification of such posts and undertake periodic review of the identified posts at an interval not exceeding 3 years. 34. Reservation. Every appropriate government shall appoint in every government establishment not less than 4% of the total number of vacancies in the cadre strength in each group of posts meant to be filled with persons with benchmark disabilities, of which 1% each shall be reserved for persons with benchmark disabilities under clauses A, B and C, and 1% for persons with benchmark disabilities under clauses D and E, namely blindness and low vision, deaf and hard of hearing, locomotor disability, including cerebral palsy, leprosy cured, dwarfism, acid attack victims, and muscular dystrophy. Autism, intellectual disability, specific learning disability, and mental illness. Multiple disabilities from amongst persons under clauses A to D, including deaf blindness in the posts identified for each disabilities. Provided that the reservation in promotion shall be in accordance such instructions as are issued by the appropriate government from time to time. Provided, further, that the appropriate government, in consultation with the Chief Commissioner or the State Commissioner, as the case may be, may, having regard to the type of work carried out in any government establishment, by notification and subject to such conditions, if any, as may be specified in such notifications, exempt any government establishment from the provisions of this section. Where in any recruitment year, any vacancy cannot be filled up due to non-availability of suitable person with benchmark disability or for any other sufficient reason, such vacancy shall be carried forward in the succeeding recruitment year, and if in the succeeding recruitment year also suitable person with benchmark disability is not available, it may first be filled by interchange among the 5 categories, and only when there is no person with disability available for the post in that year, the employer shall fill up the vacancy by appointment of a person other than a person with disability. Provided that if the nature of vacancies in an establishment is such that a given category of person cannot be employed, the vacancies may be interchanged among the 5 categories with the prior approval of the appropriate government. The appropriate government may, by notification, provide for such relaxation of upper age limit for employment of persons with benchmark disability as it thinks fit. 35. Incentives to employers in private sector. The appropriate government and the local authority shall, within the limit of their economic capacity and development, provide incentives to employer in private sector to ensure that at least 5% of their workforce is composed of persons with benchmark disability. 36. Special Employment Exchange. The appropriate government may, by notification, require that from such date the employer in every establishment shall furnish such information or return as may be prescribed by the central government in relation to vacancies appointed for persons with benchmark disability that have occurred or are about to occur in that establishment to such special employment exchange as may be notified by the central government, and the establishment shall thereupon comply such requisition. 37. Special schemes and development programs. The appropriate government and the local authority shall, by notification, make schemes in favor of persons with benchmark disabilities to provide 5% reservation in allotment of agricultural land and housing in all relevant schemes and development programs, with appropriate priority to women with benchmark disabilities. 5% reservation in all poverty alleviation and various developmental schemes with priority to women with benchmark disabilities. 5% reservation in allotment of land on concessional rate, where such land is to be used for the purpose of promoting housing, shelter, setting up of occupation, business, enterprise, recreation centers and production centers.